Jasuri continues to stay with us on the broadcast. Sanjay, if we were to talk about the kind of switch and shape now the foreign policy is going to look like and take under the Labour Party, how is that going to shift gears for both the nations?
Well, we've had a very uncomfortable legacy to this. We know that the Labour leader earlier, Jeremy Corbyn, was particularly hostile to India, and there was a great deal of friction between the Labour Party and the Indian government while he was in charge. And that wasn't the first of it. Earlier in Tony Blair's government, when Robin Cook was the foreign secretary, again the Labour government then, not just the party, sought to meddle in a lot of Indian affairs, certainly in Kashmir, and that led to a great deal of friction then. Since then, there has been a shift, at least the promise of a shift. We do know that Starmer is likely to set a steady policy, and there has been a more positive indication. The Shadow Foreign Secretary for the Labour Party, David Lammy, has said very emphatically that Labour will improve relations with India, Labour will set good, friendly ties with India, and that he will make sure that Britain is respectful to India. He said, for example, that as a British leader, he would rather quote from Tagore than from Rudyard Kipling. He was quite effusive in his praise of India. That would suggest that with him as the foreign secretary, which now appears almost certain, the Labour government will set good steady ties with India, both politically and economically.
Only time will tell, Sanjay, will it not, how exactly things are going to go further with time, of course, with the new faces being reinstated in Parliament. If we were to talk about the reactions also coming in from the Conservatives camp, Sanjay, what is the word over there? If they have already analysed their performance this time around, are they speaking about what exactly went wrong on their part?
Well, they don't have very much to say, do they? Always, when you have a defeat, and certainly when you have a defeat of this magnitude, it's a bloodbath really. The fall guy is and has to be the leader of the party. There will be a huge upsurge of anger within the Conservative Party against Rishi Sunak, his style of leadership, his style of governance so far. He's had a lot of critics. He's not been popular at all. In fact, he's become of late quite a hated figure in many parts of the country and also within the party, and we are seeing the result of that, and we are seeing evidence of that now. The target for that anger is going to be Rishi Sunak. They will get him out, and they will not get him out respectfully. He will be simply dispensed with, and there will be no comeback for Rishi Sunak, not in the Conservative Party, not in any other party. So this is really the end of the political road for him. His best case scenario is that he retains his own seat in Richmond North. That has been considered too close to call. We are awaiting the results for that very shortly. If that is a seat he wins, he continues as MP, but of no consequence within the Conservative Party.
But Sanjay, was he ever given a benefit of doubt? Because what we also told our viewers, when he came to power with a lot of tussles. He had to face a lot of power struggle, faced anti-incumbency, and of course the political weight of austerity, Brexit, and rest of the COVID scandals as well.
Rishi Sunak has never been elected to govern. The reason he became Prime Minister was an arrangement between a small number of Conservative MPs in a desperate state after the Liz Truss disaster. There was no way anybody was prepared to take charge. The party was in a shambles. They agreed, and this was a consensus between them. Before that, there was an election within the Conservative Party, which he lost. Now we have a general election, and the Conservative Party has lost. The two elections that he has contested, he has lost. The reason he was Prime Minister was by arrangement, not by election. And that is something that will stay with him. He has really sought to find a place for himself in history through this move and that initiative, so that he can be remembered as a leader, and of course he sought perpetuation of that in this election. It came to nothing. What he will be remembered for really is that he was made Prime Minister by arrangement and then led the party to a historic and crushing defeat that we are now witnessing.
So a lot on Conservatives' plate at this point of time to ponder on, Sanjay. But if we were to talk about the crucial seats which were snatched away from, Conservatives, what are those exactly?
Oh, they are coming in thick and fast as we speak, one after the other, one after the other. If you look at the results coming in, and every few seconds are you getting a flash, this seat, Labour gain from Conservatives, Labour gain from Conservatives, or Labour hold. They are certainly holding on to the seats they held earlier. So this is coming across around the country, and a lot of the former heavyweights within the Conservative Party are going to get knocked out. They will have no place to go, and they're acknowledging that. And they have been saying that in their last few minutes that of some sort of hope that they may get elected. They're realizing that the exit polls were more or less along the right track, that this is turning out to be a massive landslide that's going to bury them, sweep them away. This is the pattern really all around the country. It's not just north or south or any one particular region. This is a Labour sweep around the country.
Right, Sanjay. And one thing we would want your input on is how exactly the UK in the coming few years are going to, proceed with the US, because Labour's foreign policy chief has hinted at, being in complete cooperation with the US's government at the same point of time in, moving forward.
The position in the US is perhaps it's the messiest it has ever been in history. We know that Biden is sort of there and not there. We know that Trump has a felony conviction hanging over him, quite a devil's choice that American voters have between the likes of those two candidates. And again, here we have a switch from the Conservatives to Labour. But all that apart, there is a sort of umbilical cord relationship between the US and Britain, and that will stay. And that is kept in place not just by the Prime Minister here or the President there. There is a whole government institution in place. There is the State Department in the US, there is the Pentagon, and of course, Congress leaders, senators, members of the House of Representatives have very close ties with Britain, and those will stay. Since the days of the Second World War, every time there has been a global conflict, the two have been together, rightly or wrongly, and as we saw in the case of Iraq, seriously wrongly, but that accord will remain, and there is no likelihood that that will change.
Right, Sanjay. And let's clear all of the questions a little bit. If you have heard from any of your sources over there about who exactly could be the key candidate coming up, or the forerunners in Starmer's cabinet if it is formed at all.
Well, we know that David Lammy is likely to be the shadow, not the Foreign Secretary, from his position currently as the shadow Foreign Secretary. So it's really the shadow cabinet that is expected to transfer into real cabinet positions. But this is now an area that we cannot be certain about. This will be a call that Starmer will take, and will take very soon. As early as tomorrow, we could have the beginnings of announcements about who is going to get what cabinet post. This is a decision that Starmer will take with senior colleagues and then allocate portfolios.
But who exactly
Clearly,
are the big faces, Sanjay, if we were to talk about? If we were to talk about the big faces, Sanjay.
Certainly we are going to, Angela Rayner will be the Deputy Prime Minister. That is almost certain. She was asked, and she said rather modestly that she would be proud to be elected as MP. But certainly she will be the shadow, the Deputy Prime Minister. And she has been very actively campaigning in the leadership of the Labour Party together with Keir Starmer. So that said, there will be a number of other positions. We can all be certain that, almost certain that David Lammy will become the Foreign Secretary. Then for